Today I'm going to talk about the 4 things that can destroy your retirement, and the last one I think is the deadliest for all of us. So stay tuned until the end, and let's go for a walk and enjoy this bubbling brook as we walk. So what are the 4 things that can destroy your retirement? Well, first, I think it's super important to recognize that you've already won, right? You're in a great situation, you're close to being able to retire, or you have retired. So job number 1 is not to jeopardize that. And so all of these things I'm going to talk about are things that can jeopardize that. So just be super careful that you don't let it happen to you. So the first thing that can jeopardize your retirement is, if you lose your health. You think about it, your health is the engine that allows you to take advantage of all the things that you want to be able to do in retirement. So really fostering your health and taking the time that you need to stay healthy, to stay fit. I know it's hard. We all have busy lives, particularly if this is before, let's say you've got a couple years until you're going to retire. And you're busy, you're working, you've got lots of things on your plate, and taking time out 3 or 4 times a week, or maybe even more, to be able to work out can be difficult. But I really encourage you to do whatever you need to do to squeeze in that 30 minutes, right? It doesn't need to be a 2-hour workout. It can just be 30 minutes. I would encourage at least 3 days a week. I try to work out 5 days a week. And frankly, most of my workouts are right at 30 minutes. I wrote, just to let you know, what I do is I rotate through either doing 30 minutes of yoga to stretch. And I kind of think yoga as I get older is kind of the miracle exercise, because you think about when you get older, the aches and pains that you have. Yoga, at least for me, has eliminated many of those aches and pains, because a lot of that comes from stiffness and your muscles not being as flexible as they were. So I do yoga, I lift weights, right? As we get older, it's important to keep our muscle mass. For the women that are watching, you don't have to get bulky, but I think for women too, it's important for all of us to maintain our muscle mass. And I've read reports that as we get older, every year we lose muscle mass if we're not actively doing something to keep it. So I do yoga, I lift weights, and then on the 3rd day, I run on the treadmill for 30 minutes. So it doesn't have to be super rigorous. I've seen studies that, even 30 minutes of light walking can make a big difference. So do what you can. I know we're all busy. I know I'm fortunate. I kind of enjoy working out, but I know for a lot of folks, it's not an enjoyable experience. But, your health is the foundation for your retirement. So I just encourage you to spend the time you need to there. So that's the first thing that can destroy your retirement. The next thing I want to talk about is, you've heard me say in other videos, the 1 house, 1 spouse rule, right? The secret to building up your net worth is no matter how much you're making, spend less than what you earn, right? Otherwise, how are you going to build up money to invest? So spend less than you earn, and then 1 house and 1 spouse. So let's talk about the 1 house and 1 spouse. So, divorce is expensive. It's expensive emotionally, and it's also expensive financially, both the process of getting a divorce, but then also you're splitting your assets. And many of us are looking at our accounts and saying, do we have enough to retire? And we're looking at that as a couple. And, between the 2 of us, do we have enough money to retire? And if you get divorced, in general, you're each going to end up with half. This isn't divorce advice or legal advice, but in general, that's how it usually works out, unless you have a prenuptial agreement in place. So, can you afford to retire on half of what you have? I think for a lot of people, the answer is no. So, you have to be happy. You have to be in a fulfilling relationship. I get that, but just a caution. It is expensive. If you can make it work out, I think it's important to do that. The 1 house rule, sometimes when people retire, they think, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a house where we like to go on vacation? With Airbnb and VRBO now, I think you don't own a second home, but instead you just rent when you want to go. So that's a second item, the one house, one spouse that can ruin your retirement. You know, another thing, and you've heard me talk about this before, is over supporting adult children, right? A lot of us have a goal that we want to be able to help our kids through their undergraduate degree. We want to be able to give them that foundation. And if you can afford to do that, that's great. But really, over supporting for kids is, you know, once they've got that foundation, whatever that is, whether they've gone to college or they've gone to a trade school, and now they have the means to support themselves. You know, if like as a graduation present from college, you buy your kids, I have friends that have done this. They bought their kids a new car as a graduation present. And that's a wonderful graduation present, as long as you have enough for your retirement. But if it's close, you know, boy, you got, the best gift we can give our kids is for us to be financially independent, right? So I've seen parents pay for the down payment of their adult children's first home, and that's great if you can afford to do it. But if it's tight, again, that's a big sacrifice. So those are the big things, you know, the education, the mortgage, the car, and you know what? They have loans for all of those, right? They have loans for buying a house. They have loans for buying a car. They have student loans. But you know, the one loan they don't offer is a retirement loan. So you got to make sure that you're looking out for yourself as well. So that's the third thing that can destroy your retirement. And now let's talk about the fourth one, and the one that I think is the most important and is the deadliest. And that is trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to impress somebody. You know, we are who we are, right? We've all, if you're watching this video, you've been working for a while, and you've probably settled into a career that you feel you're good at. Hopefully you find it rewarding and fun, and you like the people that you're with. But boy, it can be super expensive trying to keep up with the Joneses. I used to live in the Bay Area, in the Silicon Valley area, and I remember the exact day that I said, you know what, I have to leave this area, particularly when I have kids. I was talking to a mentor of mine, a super gentleman, and this is not a critique on him at all, but it's just not who I am. I was in his conference room, and he was giving me some advice on a strategy that I was trying to think through on business, and I really appreciated him taking time. We were sitting down having a coffee, and at the end, I commented on a picture that he had in his conference room. It was a picture of a corporate jet. And this is before the days of NetJets, where you could, you know, people could share jets. So, you know, obviously that's at a huge, different area of wealth, even if you can afford NetJets. But this guy had his own jet. And so I gave him a compliment, and I said, "That's a beautiful jet." He's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I really enjoy it. But, you know, so-and-so has a jet that can go, you know, nonstop from San Francisco to Europe, and my jet can't do that." And, you know, he had to stop to refuel. You know, okay, first-class problems. But, you know, even this gentleman who had been wildly successful was instrumental in growing a company that I think just about all of our viewers would recognize. So, wildly successful career. But even then, he was kind of comparing himself to other people in Silicon Valley that had done better than himself. So getting back to us, you know, it just never ends once you get on that train. And you're trying to impress people. Maybe you're buying a nice watch, or you're buying a nicer car that you don't need. So I just caution you. And the reason I say it's the deadliest of all of them is I don't care how successful you've been, how good of a job that you've done on saving. Boy, you know, you could eat through your retirement dollars very quickly. Somebody left a comment in the comment section on one of my videos recently and talked about his father. And when his father retired, his father bought 2 brand new Porsches. And his father was single, so I don't know why a single person needs 2 new Porsches. But unfortunately, his father had to go back to work after a couple years, right? He was just spending too much. Now, most people don't spend too much in retirement. Actually, it takes a while to get used to actually spending money out of your retirement accounts, right? Because we've spent our whole lives putting money into a retirement account, that the thought of actually spending it is very foreign. So most people do what I call sacrificing unnecessarily. Other people put their financial security, put their retirement at risk. Remember how I opened this video and said, you know, you've already won. So job number one is not putting that at risk. And one way to make sure that you're not overspending or you're not sacrificing unnecessarily is to make sure that you have a financial plan. You have an outline of, you know, how much you can spend every year, increase that with inflation, and have a high likelihood of never running out of money during your lifetime. That's called the sustainable withdrawal rate. Financial advisors can do that for you. It's not super expensive to have something like that done. You've heard me say in the channel before, I think people should work with, if you're gonna work with a financial advisor, you should work with a fee-only financial advisor because they're fiduciaries to you 100% of the time. And anybody that's an advisor to me and giving me advice on something as important as retirement, I wanna know they're working for me, not some product that they're trying to sell. And it doesn't mean that if they're not a fee-only financial advisor, they're not a great financial advisor. But if I was looking for somebody, that's what I would do. And simply just Google the term fee-only financial advisor. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button. Do leave a comment. I love reading the comments. And do take a second, please, and hit the like button. It really does help the algorithm find other people that these videos can help. It means a lot to me if you take a second to do that. Thanks. And until next time, I'm Azul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use this time wisely.